Right here on Salam Media. We've come to the back end of the show, but we're going to be closing it with one of the top stories, top international stories of the last 24 hours. US President Donald Trump is once again at the center of global headlines. This after launching into a profanity-laced rant over the breakdown of a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Iran. The agreement, which Trump claims to have personally brokered, barely held for a few hours before Israeli airstrikes hit Tehran, and Iran responded with missile fire itself. Trump, clearly frustrated, told reporters that, and I quote, they don't know what the F they're doing. So before we go further, please note we're going to be playing you that clip of Donald Trump. It contains strong language that some listeners may find offensive, so discretion is advised. Take a listen.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Do you have to respond to Iran on this?
Yeah. Hey? So who President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, speaking on the White House lawn, visibly angry and threatening to travel to Israel himself to calm things down. But can a man who feels chaos essentially now control it? And what does this mean for the region and the world itself? What does it mean for Israel and US relations? Joining us now to unpack all of it is Dr. Oscar van Heerden. He's a senior research fellow at the Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership at the University of Johannesburg. Dr. van Heerden, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on Salam Media this morning. Good morning. Hope you're well.
Good morning, Salalo, and good morning to your viewers.
I think we can kickstart the conversation with, Trump brokered this ceasefire apparently, and now he's publicly lashing out at both Iran and Israel. How would you describe his approach to diplomacy in this case, and how he went about handling the unfolding crisis in the Middle East?
Yeah, Salalo, the issue here is Israel. It is unfair of President Trump to want to now lump Iran as part of the situation, the crisis, because the truth of the matter is that Netanyahu doesn't want a ceasefire. His objective all along was regime change. He had thought that he could snooker the USA into fighting this war on his behalf and to effect that regime change. So it is quite clear that he's not interested in a ceasefire, but that's what Donald Trump wanted. Donald Trump said, look, I assisted you in neutralizing the threat that you said you perceived from Iran. No other US president has done it before. I sent in the bombers, I bombed the 3 nuclear sites, and that's it. I'm not interested in your agenda to want to effect regime change, especially after Iran decided to attack one of the US bases in Qatar, showing their resolve to self-defense. Because the truth is that Iran has not participated in breaking the ceasefire. Israel dropped bombs. Iran responded. Iran has been consistent that if you attack us, then we will just defend ourselves. So it's not that the two countries broke the ceasefire, it's only Israel that decided to break the ceasefire. And so President Trump is showing frustration to the extent of dropping the F bombs um, to the media because he is realizing that he cannot control Netanyahu. He made it very clear that there should be no firing of anything. There was a time bound period to that. And Netanyahu decided he's going to still fire some missiles. He's not done with the war. And I think that is what is frustrating President Trump, because we all know, Salilo, that if we all have been saying and know for years that if indeed you want to rein in the Israeli government, the US president can do it with a simple phone call. Now he made the phone call, and Netanyahu violated and said, no, I'm not done yet. And that is what is frustrating Donald Trump.
Let's talk about that. You know, the relationship between Israel and the United States, the relationship between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. You know, a lot of people have coined it, you know, the tail that wags the dog. Essentially, a lot of Americans have been saying that you know, it seems like you know, Donald Trump is dancing to, you know, whatever song that Benjamin Netanyahu plays. They are paying for, you know, their conquests in the Middle East, and a lot of them not happy about it. Does this, you know, further highlight that exact point, the tail that wags the dog, and essentially, could this, you know, signal a souring or a sobering of Donald Trump when it comes to his relations, the United States of America's relations with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu?
Look, I mean, for the longest time, it was about the tail wagging the dog. We know that. We know that Israel could get away with just about anything and everything, and know that the Americans would protect them, would veto in the UN Security Council, and so on and so forth. And I think that will continue. I don't think this has changed things. The only thing that has happened here, as I say, is that there is an understanding that the country that is in control and the country that is the bigger country, the country that is doing the protecting, is the United States of America. And so, when the president of the U.S. talks, Israel must listen. And this is the only time where Netanyahu thought that he could get away with it. Um, and unfortunately, I think Donald Trump has told the people around him, as you've indicated, he might even go to Israel himself, and it is to go and give the law, to set down the rules. If you think you're going to be able to not listen to us, if you think that you are going to continue with the tail wagging the dog, and we must just follow, dragging us into forever wars, etc., you'll see how quickly we'll sever the relationship. And it's something that the Israelis just cannot fathom and contemplate. Um, you know, but I do think, in as much as President Donald Trump is there to protect, to be on by the side of Israel, he also needs to stamp his authority, and he's not going to allow a Netanyahu who is not listening to him. So, you know, the full objective, Salilo, is has always been that they want a weakened Iran. They don't want an Iran with a nuclear weapon. That has always been the objective. But I think that people around Donald Trump, the very people that have been insisting that they must attack Iran, I think they are having second thoughts because they have underestimated Iran's resolve to protect itself, to defend itself, but also the fact that it is prepared to go into a full regional conflict, attack all the bases in the region where US personnel and military personnel are. Because if that's what the United States want, if that's what Israel wants, then Iran is ready and prepared to go for it. The closing of the Strait of Hormuz is obviously also lingering in people's minds. It is going to negatively affect the world in terms of oil and gas production, but particularly it will affect the ordinary Americans. The cost of living for ordinary Americans is already too high. This is why people voted for Trump, voted for change, voted for something that says, stop fighting foreign wars. Please redirect that money and make it beneficial to us as Americans. So, Trump is in a very, very difficult situation here. And I think he was told, I think we need to close this chapter. We need to resolve this matter.
And one can only imagine the kind of pressure that he's in internally. I mean, his ticket while he was, vying for the presidential elections was, he was going to end all the wars, Ukraine, the crisis in the Middle East, but none of that have come into fruition. In fact, it seems he has drawn America into another war, essentially, as you mentioned. I want to talk broadly about this 12-day war, and what could be some of the key elements that we can deduce from it. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared it a historic victory. He's celebrating. We know internally some of the struggles that he's facing and why he needs to project this show of strength. And winning wars, according to him, is one of the ways that he's going about it. Even though American intelligence is reporting that these airstrikes have only set Iran's nuclear programs only a few months back. But just looking at it broadly, from both countries' point of view, from America's point of view, some of the key elements that we can deduce, that we can derive from this 12-day war, and how important will they be going forward?
Yeah, unfortunately, as far as the Netanyahu is concerned, his days are numbered. His political days are numbered in Israel. I don't think he's going to remain the prime minister for much longer. I think the challenges, the legal woes that he's running away from is catching up with him in Israel. And of course, as you rightfully point out, he's trying to project this as some kind of win. But the truth is that it's a monumental failure. He has failed in Gaza. He has not destroyed Hamas. He has not returned all the hostages, even though he has decided on a genocide on the Palestinian people in Gaza. He has not won this war against Iran. The objective was to recalibrate and rebalance the power base within the Middle East. Israel was seen as this powerhouse who can attack southern Lebanon, who can attack Syria, who can attack everyone around the Yemenis, the Houthis in Yemen, and so on. And when he decided to attack Iran, because that's ultimately the competition in the region, it simply did not succeed. Iran still has the 400 kilogram, 60% enriched uranium. It has not been destroyed. It has been relocated elsewhere. And I do believe Iran is seriously reconsidering its membership to the NPT and to allow IAEA inspectors in, because they have seen that even the agency, the energy agency, is used by Western powers as a funnel for information, for sensitive information, to get names of scientists that was now assassinated, and so on and so forth. So everyone is now waiting to see, yes, there's a ceasefire, there's a cease of hostilities, but the big question is, what is Iran going to do with regards to its nuclear program? Because remember, the US and Trump in particular said that they want complete cease of nuclear program in Iran and a complete surrender. So if you put all of these demands together, the Israelis and the Americans have not succeeded in achieving those objectives. So I don't know how Netanyahu can. I understand why the propaganda is important, but I think everyone in the world can see that Israel, this is a tactical withdrawal and an admission that it is no longer the powerhouse in the region.
I'd like to bring it a bit closer to home as we wrap up. International relations experts, most of them are saying, the ANC and the South African government's almost cautious response to the Iran-Israel 12-day war is the right approach, especially when dealing with the unpredictability of U.S. President Donald Trump. What do you make of this? The way South Africa has responded, have we went about it the right way, or should we have become a bit more vocal, especially looking at the precedents that we've set, how we responded diplomatically, especially when it comes to Israel and the principal stance on international law, and the ICJ case and everything that has come after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think pundits and international relations scholars and everyone else needs to. It's very rare to try and satisfy them. When
True.
South Africa decided to take Israel to the ICJ on the charges of genocide, many people were saying, the South African government is fighting again above its weight. It's a small player in the world, and so on. But at the same time, when a dangerous conflict occurs in the Middle East, they expect South Africa to come out strong, as if it is now, should again play above its weight. I think the measured response from the presidency and from DIRCO is understandable. We are indeed a medium to level country, and we have no direct, uh, uh, you know, stakes in the game, if I can put it like that.
Mm.
We have relations with Israel, just like we have relations with Iran. Iran and South Africa is part of BRICS, but that does not mean that we must now go and amplify and use megaphone diplomacy. I think that the fact that the presidency came out with a statement saying that they are not happy and they don't condone the unprovoked attack that Israel, it's an act of aggression against Iran, that the parties must come to the negotiating table and talk peace. I think that is echoing what most in the global south have been saying, and so on. So I don't think a stronger statement was going to help the South Africans, because we also have a delicate relationship with the Europeans as well as with the United States. So I think that it was responsible for DIRCO, for the minister of DIRCO, and for the president to realize that on this one, it's best to make a cautious statement, make sure that international law must be upheld, and leave it at that. Because otherwise, as you say, Salo, we just don't know what this Trump administration can do.
Mm. Definitely very, very unprecedented times, Doc, but we're going to leave it here for now. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure chatting to you, and appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much.
There you go. That was Dr. Oscar van Heerden helping us make sense, I think, of yet another chaotic chapter in the U.S. foreign policy. What's currently unfolding in the Middle East, and I think there's so much to deduce. There's so much that you can analyze and trying to make sense of as we're trying to navigate this era of Trump 2.0, coupled by Benjamin Netanyahu and him seemingly just losing his mind, and looking to set the whole of the Middle East and ultimately the whole world into chaos, into his quest of conquest. Very, very unprecedented times, scary times, if you ask me. And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. Big thanks to Dr. Oscar van Heerden and all of our other guests who gave time to join us for today's show, to give us insight on some of the most intense and rapidly evolving stories in the world. And as always, we'll continue to follow them right here on News and Views on Salam Media. And if you've missed any of the interviews that we had, you can can head over to our social media pages. We've been streaming them, and you'll be able to rewatch them. Otherwise, head over to our website, www.salammedia.com, and check out some of the podcasts and some of the articles that have been written and curated based on the interviews that we had this morning. We're going to wrap up the show, but before we wrap up, it's time for your midweek dose of motivation. As you already know, the last hour of the show is probably brought to you by Africa Muslims Agency, and it's our hashtag Fired Up feature with Hafiz Imran Chunara. He's he's a personal excellence mentor and also the CEO of Africa Muslims Agency. And every Wednesday and Friday, we have this really, really wonderful feature called hashtag Fired Up, where we look to motivate you, get you all fired up, revved up to go. But I don't think a lot of people need to be motivated. Payday is the 25th. What motivates you more than that big notification? But anyway, we'll have the hashtag Fired Up feature. We hope that you enjoy it. And today's topic, it's a very, very interesting one. And I'll definitely be listening to this one if I were you. Hafiz Imran Chunara, CEO of AMA and also personal excellence coach, today says, distance doesn't separate people. Silence does. This has been another brilliant edition of News and Views. We'll be with you again tomorrow for the Thursday edition. But from myself, Salalo Makwidere, and the rest of the team, until then, sharp, sharp.